Habits of Happiness is sponsored and hosted by the Mindful Life program. The Mindful Life program helps people engage in life in healthy and meaningful ways, reducing stress while cultivating genuine happiness. They offer programs locally, internationally, and online. More information at www.mindfullifeprogram.org or 970-633-0163.
Habits of Happiness is also sponsored by Paradise Bakery, located in the heart of Aspen on the corner of Galena and Cooper. A favorite hangout since 1981. Famous for fresh-baked cookies and muffins, serving homemade Italian-style ice cream, lattes, and fine coffees. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Hi, and welcome to Habits for Happiness. I am Laura Bartels.
And I'm John Bruna. It's a joy to have you today and a very special guest that we're very honored to have. This is the Venerable Geshe Phuntsho.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. It's really exciting to have you here today and so much to talk about. Hopefully we will scratch the surface of the many questions that we have.
I hope so too.
So right off the bat, just a brief background. I know that you are once again leading another tour, and I believe this is your third in the United States.
Actually, fifth time.
Fifth
but
time, wow.
With the group of monks, is third time in the
Okay.
United States. Yeah.
You've also led a tour in Europe as well.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us.
Well, it's my service, and I really enjoy. It's a good job. Yeah. Trying to be in service for others. So I think this is my path actually.
Oh, wonderful. So I have met you before, and we have shared a little time together at Ganden Shartse Monastery.
Yeah, Ganden Shartse Monastery, yes.
And this tour, you are benefiting the Pukang Kansen. Right?
Yes, it's for Pukang Kansen.
Yeah. Can you tell our viewers just a little bit about Ganden Monastery and then Pukang in particular, what a Kangsen is, so they understand?
Well, Ganden Monastery is right now in South India. It's in a refugee camp, which is in a small town called Mungot, and this monastery used to be in Tibet, and during the Cultural Revolution in 1959, this Ganden Monastery was completely destroyed. And after, like, some of the monks who could escape to India, and then when the Indian government were very kind and generous to give a piece of land, so at the time that whoever has survived from our monastery, they were called to come to this place to get the land. So at the time there were 180 monks were there to register. So that's why we have 180 acres of land. And so that means out of 3,500 monks, only so much could survive. I think the rest were all gone. And then with these 180 monks, senior monks really work hard. And now the number of monks in a whole monastery is around 4,500 monks. And then in Ganden Shartse, we have right now roughly around 1,500 monks. And out of that, in Ganden Shartse, there are 11 houses. So out of 11 houses, like this Ganden Shartse Pukang Monastery has the most monk. And sometimes we call that though all the great masters come from our house, Pukang Monastery, but till now that since we have lots of high masters, they never encourage monks from our house to tour around the world to raise fund, because they used to take care of us. But last 4 or 5 years, most of these great masters who has been passing away one after another, as if that we are left alone without any parents. So that's why we have lots of challenges to maintain things in our house. So finally, our senior monks really had to find a small foundation so that we can start to do something to go out and raise fund to survive. So that's the reason that I think this is one of the first tour that we are trying to tour and raise fund for this our house, so that we can maintain all the facilities.
So the tour that you're on, which is going to be 2 years in length.
Hopefully, yeah.
Wow.
That's I'm trying to encourage, because to get the visa for United States is really difficult. So that's why I really want to make use of this visa instead of wasting time and their energy and money also. So I'm trying to do my best to stand. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for our viewers to just really get a good view of what this is, this great journey that you're on is about. We have, as you mentioned, at Ganden-Chartse, which is one of the great monasteries of the Tibetan Gelug tradition, the original monastery,
Yes.
preserving these teachings and these traditions that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is very well known for. I know it's very difficult to do it in a refugee settlement in India. And then you talked about Pukong, and you talked about 11 houses. So there's 11 other houses at the monasteries. But Pukong, when you're talking about it, it needs, I mean, it's almost like its own monastery, right? They have their own
Yes.
prayer hall. They
Yes, we
have to
have
take
own-
care of their own monks as
Yes.
well, right?
Yes, that's why, like, because the system in monastery, it works as like the main monastery will provide education and food and discipline, but the place to live and then the teacher, all the program comes in, the house has to provide. So that's why when you have to have a house or place to live, then we have to find one master, and then at the same time, if they, then all the facilities like electric bill and everything, all the necessity there, and even sometimes if you get sick also, then the house has to look after that. So that's why, like, we need a place to live. So right now we have a small space around like 10 feet square, 11 feet square, and at least like more than 3 monks are living in that small house. So that's why we are really in a desperate situation that we must go out and do something to raise fund to build more dormitories, so that at least 2 monks can live in that place for whole life. So that's what our main intention is.
Well, it's wonderful that the tour can have such mutual benefit, both to all the monks in the monastery, but also to all of us who get to meet you and get to hear, you know, about.
Well, yeah, this is what I also feel like my master who passed away always remind me, like showing an example, like simplicity for life, and you're not only raising fund for our monastery also, but at the same time you try to show an example to others, to show them at least a glimpse of virtue and imprint, so that whoever see, if you wear even a proper way of dressing, it will really help them to plant the seeds of virtue. So this is what, like, we are always try to show this to others. Yes.
Yeah, so when you come out on a tour and you bring this example, you know, to this modern Western way of life, what, you know, this show is about happiness, and everybody wants to be happy. And so from a Buddhist perspective, you know, when His Holiness the Dalai Lama says that our primary purpose is to be happy, is he talking about getting a new TV, or what is he talking about when he says we should be happy?
Sometimes there's a joke: if you know the true meaning of life, then you will fly. You know, actually, and I think happiness is about, like, you try to look into yourself and see, you know, what you can do, and at the same time, like, the possibility we have, the possibility that we have. And so that's why, like, happiness has to grow from within inside, like inner peace or respect and loving kindness. So that's why we sometimes call that, if you really give him a right education for the young generation, that can really find true happiness also. And sometimes we call that even the young generation, if you really encourage them to do even 10 minutes of meditation in their life, they will never face a depression in their life. That is also a true source of happiness. Because right now, the true happiness is about contentment with what we have. But in this modern world that we are really contented with our spiritual background, but we are never contented with its material field. So we are just opposite. So if we try to switch that, if we try to embrace more with the spiritual way in our life, then eventually that will bring us a true inner happiness. And if we practice contentment on the material thing, then that will also help us to balance. But we are just opposite right now. We are not contented with the material world, but we are really contented in a spiritual world. So we have to switch that.
We've got it backwards.
Backwards.
Yes. And I think that's the word that you've mentioned several times here is a level of contentment.
Yes, level of contentment, because practicing about contentment, be happy with what you have. And that really make you more easier in your life. Because if you are never contented with what you have, then we are always wasting our most precious time in getting that. Our time, our energy, our mentally or physically or verbally. Sometimes in the worst cases, we kill or steal or do all kind of negative things to achieve that.
Yes.
So that's how the whole thing is wasted on that unnecessary thing. And at the same time, at the end, after, in case if we achieve also, but we never find the peace there or happiness there, because we are not giving the right thing into our own self. We are trying to fuel our own desire inside. So that's why the nature of desire is never satisfying. So the more we have, the more we want. So sometimes we call there's no limit in that.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah. We often talk about what they call hedonic treadmill, as you're talking about desire, right? I like this, and that actually makes you hungrier, right?
Yeah.
If I like this, then I want more, and then
Yes.
the next shiny thing.
Yeah, because sometimes we see like some people has like even like maybe 100 lifetime also, if they are born again and again for 100 times also, they have enough resources to feed them, but they're never satisfied. But they cannot. It's just one lifetime. So sometimes, like, that's why we do a calculation in our life. In case if we live 100 years, how many years we spend sleeping? Maybe 40 years.
Yes.
How many years we spend finding food and shelter? Maybe 40 years. How many years we spend driving a car in a cursing highway? And maybe 15 years.
Yes.
So how many years we spend in front of technology? Maybe 5 years. So if you look at in a whole, that our whole time and energy is wasted only on this purpose, and then everything we have worked whole life, we have to leave behind at the end. And we never have a peace of mind within ourselves, because we just are busy in that kind of stuff. So that's why, like, minimize those things, be happy with whatever you have. And this will really give you more time, safer more time. And more we have time, then we can do something positive. Yeah.
When you talk about sort of seeking happiness and the confusions, it reminds me to ask you about the 8 worldly concerns and how, what is that, so our viewers understand, and how does that trip us up when we're trying to cultivate that sort of genuine happiness, not versus the ordinary variety of happiness.
See, a worldly concern, like, it's only maybe those who are a serious practitioner, maybe it will be helpful. But those who are living in a materialistic world, it may be difficult to apply everything. But at least to help you to balance, like, for example, there's nothing to be so much proud of if somebody praises you, or there's nothing to be sad if somebody curse you or say something bad thing on you. I think just on this two itself can help you to be in a balance in between, like, not overwhelmed by somebody who is trying to say a negative thing on you, or not to be overwhelmed with the happiness or pride within ourselves with somebody's praising you. So this is how we try to balance in this too. This also really helps us to be stronger in between, because sometimes most of us is, yes, we try to do good thing in our life, but it's not a sincere good action. We have some kind of expectation, expectation like, oh, thank you, something like, at least, And in case if we don't receive this one in return, then we get easily distracted. So that means our service or do something to others is never sincere. We expect something. So that's kind of thing that we have to, because when we want to do something good thing to bring inner peace, small things make a big difference. We don't do big things to make a big difference, because we cannot. But small things that we fail in doing good thing. So sometimes small things can make a big difference.
That's a very good point. Everybody thinks they have to do some big major event,
no need.
but these
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
things are really
Yeah.
what make the difference. So just so our viewers, because not everyone knows the 8 worldly
Yeah.
concerns, well, as Laura brought up, there's this gain and loss, pain and pleasure, and you brought up praise and criticism, and then this
Yeah.
good reputation, bad reputation, and so a lot of people think this is our motivation, and you were pointing out that if you're doing the right thing, it doesn't matter if somebody praises you or
praise or
criticizes
curse. Yeah,
you,
it doesn't
right?
matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because this one I have experienced in my own life, because I travel a lot and I meet so many thousands of people in my life, and I get lots of good feedback and negative feedback also. But as long as yes, those time I used to have those kind of feelings, feel sad because you really work hard, you really use your own time and energy, and to be in service to others. Sometimes we get feedback, but my master taught me that, well, things happen for good reason. Anything has some reaction, so you don't have to be sad or proud of. And so I finally learned that as long as from the bottom of your heart, that if you're really doing something sincerely with a good intention, you live it into that situation. You don't have to expect something positive thing will happen or negative thing will happen. As long as people criticize also, doesn't matter. If people praise you also, doesn't matter. As long as from the bottom of your heart, if you're doing the right thing to others, you live it into that situation. So that really helped me to remain into that balance. Yeah, it helps, yeah.
It's a good word, balance, because you're not caught up in praise or criticize. You're doing the right thing
Yes.
for the best reason that you can.
Yes. But sometimes we have to be careful, because to do good thing on others, you have to make sure that whether it is really doing good thing or not.
Yes.
Because sometimes our own ego and our own knowledge and education or some degree can caught up into that pride and thinking that maybe we are doing good thing, but at the same time we are doing something negative or harming others. So this one we have to be very careful in this, in between that action.
Yeah, well, you bring up this very important word, pride. That's a big deal in our Western culture. We're very proud of our team, of our house, of our family. And I know in Buddhism, it's actually an affliction, a mental affliction, something that creates some problems.
Yes, pride, those are things that sometimes it burns away our own karma, bad, no good karma and all these things. So that's why like one of the main practice, whatever we try to do, any kind of good action through like six perfection, because of our pride, it burns away our merit. Because we always try to compete how much you have done. Oh, I have done 20 times, and you have done only this much. So we look down on somebody who has done less, who have done more than I feel proud. Oh, I did it so much like that. So our pride and ego shoots up, and that makes like a huge amount of fire to burn away our own merit.
So pride then really keeps us separate, right? I'm better than you or something, or my family's better, or my team is better. And you're talking about that attitude actually creates, it burns up our merit, and it doesn't really allow us to progress or find, more peace, right?
Yeah, that's why. Like then, because once we have those kind of the feelings about pride, and then it's like no matter how much we try to do, we are never satisfied. Never satisfied and never contented. We want to do more and more. But those who try to show their sincere practice, they are happy with even a small amount of good action. They're just contented. Oh, I did something good for, and they rejoice it, and then they try to promote more.
So you're talking around this idea of the source of happiness. Can you be more specific about the Buddhist view of the source of happiness?
Well, source of happiness is I think more easier is a simplicity of your life. I think this is the main source of happiness, because once you have a very simple life, then you have more time to think in a positive way, and when you have more time to think in a positive way, then you have more time to do good things for others. Simplicity, I think, simple life, because more you simplify your life, then it's a less trash in your mind. The more the trash in our mind, then it's difficult. It's like it's cover up our own things with the layers of those things and cannot see beyond the reality. That's why we call like calming down your mind so that it will see beyond. So that's why the more we have simple life, it can really like try to, it's like many junks in a house cannot see so many things. But if you really clear things, it can see something clearly. So that's how like simplicity of, for me, it's a simple life. Makes like a more happier life.
You mentioned earlier too that advice to young people would be to meditate for 10 minutes a day, so can you talk about that relationship between calming your mind, meditation, and happiness? Well, what's that about for you?
See, meditation is making your mind more spacious. When you make your mind more spacious, like it's the same amount of junk in a house, in a small house, and the same amount of junk in a huge house. And especially you're making your mind more spacious, is you cannot feel the junk even whether there is or not. So that means it opens your heart and make it more spacious, so it is easy to accept and let it go, because we can, without feeling. But if we really narrow ourselves in a small space, then small things can easily strike. Even staring at somebody can really hurt, feeling, oh, he's staring at me and things like that. So this is how like when you make your mind more spacious, then it's easily can let it go. So that's why the person, but also like when you want to make your mind spacious, doesn't mean you need a big space. You can squeeze. We have a saying, even you are the size of that mustard seed, you can still find the space and universe into that mustard seed. So that means like it's the way of you think, and it's true. Like if you really think in a very in a huge big bank, then our world is just the tiniest things, not even a dot, right? So that means why not in that size of mustard seed can find a universe from there.
Wow.
And you know, this idea of simplifying, of not being so busy. We had a whole show on busyness and how that takes us away, right? You're making the point that if we constantly have things to do, if we're busy all the time, and you pointed earlier, how much time are we asleep? How much time are we in our car? How much time do we actually devote to what is making our life meaningful, right?
Yes.
And so I think you're saying if we can simplify,
Yes.
maybe we could spend time on that.
Yes, that's why do calculation. Like a spiritual person who are devoted in generating spacious mind or loving kindness or compassion, and a person who is busy in this making money and fame and name and all this, so they are same age, for example, and life has to go together. So maybe this person who is busy making money can become most famous, well-known person, maybe that not well-known or nothing, but they never remain still. The aging is always together. So when the aging goes higher and higher, maybe when they reach around 60s or 70s, then the person who is well-known for money and fame, they are retired from the society. Then people will neglect, oh, you're old now, and they also will feel that I'm old now, like as if like don't want to grow old also. The person who is involved in a spiritual world with all this quality, they will shine. It will shine more. They get older and older, it shines. The person who don't have this one, it reduces all this energy, goes weaker and weaker, and then depressions, worry, fear, and those kind of things can happen. But the person who is a spiritual and those in a good heart, this will be happier. It will shine that they love to be isolated. They want to have more time to do meditation, because as if that they are ready to approach any kind of difficulty in their life. And every difficulty is so easy for them to handle with it. But the person who have no such thing, even wealth or position, it will be really challenging.
Yes, we're coming towards the end of our show, so we're hoping you'll stay for another show, because we're just warming up, and it's so wonderful to have you.
Yeah.
The point that you're really bringing, it really, I think, lead to every week we leave our audience with a habit of happiness. So, is what are we making time for in our life? If we keep putting off till tomorrow and the next day, I'm going to make money now, I'm going to do this, and then we don't have time for what's meaningful.
True.
So for our guests, we'd like to leave our habit of happiness for this week to be to take a little time each day to think about what's important to you. What are the qualities that you would like to cultivate in your life? The things that you see in others, or that you in yourself recognize that you'd really like to find space for and room for in your life. So we invite you, as a habit of happiness this week, to take a little time, think about the qualities that are a little weaker that you would like to develop in yourself, and find and set the intention to engage in this day in ways that can help really cultivate those qualities.
Well, I'd like to thank Geshe so much for joining us, and again, I hope we see you on the next show, and thank our viewers for joining us today on Habits of Happiness.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and
we're actually going to stay and do another show right now, and so
all right.
we'll broadcast another one. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Habits of Happiness is sponsored and hosted by the Mindful Life program. The Mindful Life program helps people engage in life in healthy and meaningful ways, reducing stress while cultivating genuine happiness. They offer programs locally, internationally, and online. More information at www.mindfullifeprogram.org or 970-633-0163.
Habits of Happiness is also sponsored by Paradise Bakery, located in the heart of Aspen on the corner of Galena and Cooper. A favorite hangout since 1981. Famous for fresh-baked cookies and muffins, serving homemade Italian-style ice cream, lattes, and fine coffees. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.